Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a deep dive into the Savage Orruks for Warcry. For this deep dive video, we'll be using the Harbingers of Destruction Warcry supplement book, and we'll find out all about the Orruk war clans and exactly what they're doing in the 8 points and how they fit into the narrative of Warcry. We'll be using the book for all the fighter and leader abilities for the Orruks, and we'll also look at all the fighter cards available for them, and we'll go to the Games Workshop website for all our images, going through every model that you can buy and then matching that up with the fighter card for Warcry. We'll go through all the prices of the different models available, and we'll also look at how to put together a Warcry Warband on a budget, and then at the end of the video I'll pick out some unlikely characters and models from other games that we can use in Warcry alongside these fighter cards from the supplement book. The Orruk race lives only for war, and these green-skinned marauders have fought all across the mortal realms and are never happier than when they're in the midst of utter carnage. Orruk society, such as it is, can be divided into war clans, each of which has its own culture and tactics. At the heart of the war, which is a term for the great green crusades of violence that sweep the realms, stomp the Ironjaws. These rampaging Orruks epitomise the most brutal side of their race's psyche, and they are obsessed with demonstrating their might through displays of wanton violence. Charging alongside the Ironjaws come the crazed Bonesplitters. No Orruk is born as a bone splitter, rather those greenskins who are driven mad by war energy raging endlessly around their skulls will leave their former war clans behind and seek out gatherings of their feral kin. Clad in little more than mystic war paint and led by war dancing shamans, the Bonesplitters are on a mission to hunt and slay the greatest monsters they can find. The Orruks are one of the most erratic races to have ended up in the Bloodwind spoil, and the ranking rucks of the Bonesplitters have decided on a holy mission of their own. They believe the Varanspire itself to be the mightiest predator of the wastes, and with the rising of each bloody dawn, they make their way closer to its cyclopean magnificence, determined to slay it and absorb its power. That's a great introduction to the Bonesplitters, and now we know why these Savage Orruks are in the 8 points and exactly what they're up to. Let's start taking a look at the leaders, the fighters, their cards and abilities, and at the end we can look at some unlikely characters to put together a Warcry warband with. As we work through the video, every fighter with the Bonesplitters rune mark is going to get these two fighter abilities. One's a double called Charge, and one's a quad called Rampaging Destroyer. And these two fighter abilities really kind of set the tone for how the warband's going to behave and act. And when we consider that these Bonesplitters are crazed maniacs who charge forward with a boundless energy, howling and gibbering as they run down their hapless foe, this kind of is going to play into that kind of idea and that narrative, and is really going to give us a base from which we can put together our warband. And the first ability is a double called Charge, and this fits right into that. And a fighter can use this ability only if there is a visible enemy fighter within 6 inches of them. This fighter makes a bonus move action and must finish closer to the closest visible enemy fighter than they were at the start of that move action. So this is interesting. They don't have to move directly towards them. They could go like in a diagonal line if you wanted to. As long as they're closer at the end than they were at the start, then they can certainly do that. So this double is a great ability to get us started and really sets the tone for this warband. But they've also got a quad called Rampaging Destroyer, and until the end of this fighter's activation, add 1 to the attack's characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter. In addition, each time an enemy fighter is taken down by an attack action made by this fighter, this activation, this fighter can make a bonus move action. Okay, so for a quad, this maybe doesn't sound as appealing as a usual quad that we'd see, which would be like a move and a bonus move and a bonus attack action with maybe some other conditions tied in. But adding 1 to that attack's characteristic, or attack action, throughout this activation is pretty good. And if they take an enemy fighter down, then they can also make a bonus move action maybe towards another enemy fighter to get stuck in on their next attack action or their next activation. So there we go, that's the fighter abilities. But we're also going to see a leader ability that every leader with the Bone Splitters rune mark is going to be able to use. So let's take a look at that now. And this triple ability is aptly named WAR. Add the value of this ability to the move characteristic of friendly fighters within 6 inches of this fighter when this fighter uses this ability until the end of the battle round. Okay, so this is the whole value of the ability, so it's a 5 or 6. We can use that and add it all to the move characteristics of all the friendly fighters within 6 inches, so we don't have to even see them. As long as they're within 6 inches of this fighter, they can all benefit from this ability. So this is pretty good for a triple, and again, any leader can use this one. So it's really pushing forward and really playing into that idea that we want to drive these guys into the battle, push them forward, charging all the time, enraged and wanting to get stuck in against the enemy. So really nice ability there for our leaders. So now we've seen this ability for the leaders and the 2 fighter abilities. I won't go through those as we work through the video because we know that they're all going to be able to use them. But we will go through the individual abilities and the different rune marks as we see them on the fighter cards. So let's get started with our first leader for the Bone Splitters. And we're going straight in with the Savage Big Boss. And this guy's going to be 225 points. He's got a movement 4, toughness 4, and can take a huge 30 wounds. He's got another rune mark, so we haven't seen that ability yet, and the leader rune mark. His weapon is a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So I really like this. That strength 5 is really handy, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. Really nice. But let's check out the ability that he's going to get. And this is a quad called Mighty War. So he's already getting the triple War, now he's got a Mighty War. Add the value of this ability to the move characteristic of friendly fighters within 9 inches of this fighter when this fighter uses this ability until the end of the battle round. Okay, so this is pretty much the same as WAR, but instead of 6 inches, we can extend it to 9 inches. And again, they don't have to be visible, so we can really start pushing them forward now. So there's a good chance you're going to be close to quite a few of your friendly fighters within 9 inches for sure. And so I think this would be pretty useful to get them to swarm an objective and swarm the enemy too. If you like the look of this Savage Big Boss model, then you can pick him up. The RRP is £10, and I'll put a link in the description down below to Element Games, where you can get up to 20% all your games products. So if you want to pick this guy up, he'll be on there. But as we work through the video, I'll show you how we can proxy this to save £10, and also at the end we'll see a really cool miniature that we can use as a Savage Big Boss. Our next leader is a War Dog, and this guy's 205 points, got a movement 4, toughness 4, can take 25 wounds, got the leader rune mark and the flaming skull, so we've got ability we haven't seen yet. He's got 2 weapon options, so he's kind of a magical, kind of shamanistic figure. So he's going to have a range weapon, minimum 3, maximum 7. So you've got to be targeting a player that's at least 3 inches away. And then that's 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. And if he gets up close, it's a weapon range 1, making 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So you notice that these guys aren't that strong, and I was surprised that they wouldn't all be pretty strong. I get the toughness because they don't have any armor or shields, or some of them don't. And so, but yeah, not very strong at all. And only 2 attacks, 3 to 6. But let's see what the ability is, and if that brings this guy up to be worth those points. And this is a triple called Ritual Dance. Remove 1 damage point allocated to each friendly fighter within 6 inches of this fighter. Okay, so this is kind of a healing kind of figure to put in. And yeah, again, they don't have to be visible. As long as they're within 6 inches of this fighter, then they can benefit from this. And for a triple there, if you've got quite a few around, then that's okay. But it's only 1 damage point. So it's not a huge benefit, but pretty decent. And he is only 205 points after all. And if you like this model, then you can pick him up as well. And he's at RRP of £10, but again, I'll show you another option later on so that you might be able to proxy him and not have to buy him individually for £10. Our next leader is a Wargog Prophet, and this is potentially one of my favourite Age of Sigmar miniatures, especially for the leaders. I really love this model. I'm glad I picked it up now, although you'll see later on that I didn't really need to. But for this guy, if you want to use the Wargog Prophet, it's 225 points, got a movement 4, toughness 4, can take 28 wounds, got the leader rune mark, and one other rune mark that we haven't seen an ability for yet. His range, again, it's like a mystical figure, so it's a minimum 3, maximum 7, can make 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So very similar to that one we just saw, the Wardock. But he's got another weapon. This time it's a range of up to 2, making 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So he's able to do a little bit more damage there up close and can take a few more wounds himself. So I guess that kind of justifies that extra 20 points to get this guy. But he does have another rune mark as well that we haven't seen yet. And this one is a triple called Beast Mask Dance. Until the end of the battle round, subtract 1 from the attack characteristic to a minimum of 1 of attack actions made by enemy fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. Now this is a good ability for a triple, and I really like this one. We can reduce those attack characteristics, so this is great. You can reduce the chances of getting hits or critical hits, and this is for enemy fighters within 6 inches of this fighter. So this is really great, and it's until the end of the battle round too. So I think this is a really valuable ability, and this is why I would take the WARCRY Prophet as my leader every day. I think he's brilliant. If you like this WARCRY Prophet, I'm going to say don't buy it, because there's a better set that I'll go through later on that includes him, and it'll save you a ton of money. But if you did want to pick him up, it's out of stock at the Games Workshop website at the moment, but you should be able to find it at Element Games or your local game shop, and the RRP is £15. But wait till later on, because we'll see another proxy that we can use for this, and it's very similar. Right, now we're on to another leader called the Maniac Weird Knob, and this guy is who you'd use as your leader if you wanted like a mounted leader, and he's riding one of the boars, a great looking model. I think we can proxy this though later as well, but if you did want to pick him up, I'll go through the price and kind of how much he's going to cost. So, but anyway, if we want to go for this one as our leader, he's 285 points, got a movement 10, he's got a toughness 4, can take 35 wounds, he's mounted, so he's got that rune mark, leader rune mark, and one other that we haven't seen yet. And he's got 2 weapon options. The first one is pretty much the same as what we've seen for the Prophet, the WARCRY Prophet, and his other weapon is exactly the same as well. So as weapon stats go, is exactly the same, but he is mounted, and so that's why he's an extra 60 points, and he's got a different ability too. So let's check that out now, and that's called the Weird Squig ability, and this is a double. And for this one, we add 1 to the attacks characteristic of attack actions made by this fighter, this activation, that target an enemy more than 3 inches away. So this is only going to apply to that first weapon choice for this guy, and we can add 1 to the attacks characteristic of it. So now instead of 2, we can make 3 attacks. So that's pretty good. And this guy, if you want to pick him up, is £16, but you only get 1 model for £16. So bear that in mind when we look at the different options that we can use to proxy this model later on. But there he is, £16 RRP. Now we're going to move on to one set of Savage Orruks that you can use to make 9 different fighters. And I also think that you can proxy some of these to be the Savage Big Boss as well. So there's a crazy amount of fighters and leaders that you can get from this one set, and you can build them as Moor Boys, Arrow Boys, or Savage Orruks, and a ton of options. So in this section, I'll go through all the different fighters we can build from that box set. And you can see that this box set is £32.50. It's packed with models, and the just variation is so good. It's got like 16 models all together, and it gives you a ton of options. And I think, for me, this is one of my favourite box sets I've ever bought, and the variety of fighters in it is such great value, especially for WARCRY. I think it's brilliant. So I can highly recommend getting this one and putting together a Bonesplitterz Warband. You'd only need to get that for £32.50, and I think you'd have enough there to make a really interesting warband. And if you wanted to add on what I've done, a WARCRY Prophet, you've got the choice of buying that as a single miniature, or as we'll see later on, proxying him with another cool one that looks really similar. I could go on all day about the Bonesplitterz and the Savage Orruks, but let's get started and look at the different Moorboy options that we can use. And the first one is our Savage Orruk Moorboy Boss, and he's coming in at 205 points. He's got a movement 4, a toughness 4, can take 25 wounds. He's only got that triple War leader ability that we saw earlier on, and he's got a weapon range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So some great options there, but for a leader, I wouldn't choose this guy. Also from this set, we can build a Savage Orruk Moorboy, and at 110 points, he's got a movement 4, toughness is going down now at 3, and can take 15 wounds. He's got an ability we haven't seen yet, and his weapon is a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So this is really interesting. He can put out a bit of damage now, so this isn't bad at all for 110 points. 3 attack, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 is really nice. And he's also got this ability, this double, called Tooth Shiv. And for this, we pick a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch of this fighter and roll a dice. On a 3 to 4, allocate 1 damage point to that fighter. On a 5 to 6, allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. So this is really nice. Just a nice simple ability where we can do a little bit of extra damage. And if we get a 5 and 6 and our ability value is high, then we can certainly do some serious damage for a double. And it's a great ability to use for these guys, and great miniatures all round. We've also got another option from this set, the 3rd out of 9, and this is for a Savage Orruk Moorboy Bone Totem Bearer. This guy's coming in at 110 points. He's got movement 4, toughness 3, can take 15 wounds. He's got the Mystic Rune Mark, so we'll check out that ability in a second. And his weapon is a range of 3. He can make 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And for his ability, it's a double called Beast Spirit Juju. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the toughness characteristic of friendly fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. Now, this is a fighter I would include in the Warband for sure. This Totem Bearer is amazing, and this double ability is well worth it for 110 points, bringing the toughness up of these like weaker kind of players. So if you want to have loads of Moorboy fighters with the toughness is going to be 3, but you want to bring that up, this is the guy to include with them. I love this model and can highly recommend including this in your Warband. It looks awesome, and that double ability is well worth those points. That's the Moorboys taken care of, so now let's look at our Savage Orruks, and these are going to be another 3 that we can include from this same set again. And the first one is a Savage Orruk Boss with Chomper and Bone Shield, and this one's 185 points, got a movement 4, toughness 4, can take 25 wounds. He's got the Leader Rune Mark, and so the only ability he's going to get is that triple War. He's got a weapon range of 1, can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So this guy's interesting and maybe a contender for a hero in the Warband, because those 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 are pretty good, and having that toughness 4 is nice too. But now let's look at the Savage Orruk with Savage Sticker and Bone Shield, and for 85 points we're getting a movement 4, toughness 4, taking 15 wounds. He's got a weapon range of 2, can make 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So now this is quite low, as we would expect from an 85 point fighter, but still being able to take 15 wounds isn't bad at all, but you're not going to do an awful lot of damage with just one of these. So you could team him up with a Savage Orruk with Chomper and Bone Shield, and 90 points for this guy, and he's got a movement of 4, toughness 4, can take 15 wounds. His weapon range is 1, and now he can make 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So this is another option. Again, if you want to keep your toughness up to 4, then this is a good one to go with for sure. And again, all these are from the same set, so you're getting tremendous value. But now we can also make another 3, and these include Arrow Boys, Arrow Boss, and this awesome model, the Big Stabber. So let's take a look at the Savage Arrow Boss first. And at 125 points, he's got a movement 4, toughness 4, can take 25 wounds. He's got the Leader Rune Mark, and also one that I don't think we've seen yet, but that's going to be a fighter ability. So it's not a leader ability, he's going to get a fighter ability. And his weapons, he's got 2 options. The first one is a minimum range 3, maximum 15, making 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And his second weapon is a range of 1, making 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So 2 great options here. The first one is pretty much what we'd expect from like these ranged kind of fighters, especially at this value. But the second one isn't bad. 3 attack, strength 3, dealing 2 to 4. He could do a little bit of damage potentially there. But it's this ability that's going to be great for him, which is a triple called Loads of Arrows. Add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the attacks characteristic of the next attack action made by this fighter, this activation that targets an enemy fighter more than 3 inches away. This is a pretty useful ability. We're only going to use it on that first weapon option, but this is really great. Add half the value rounding up. So if we get a 5 or 6, we can add 3 to our attack characteristic. So that's really great. That can then be 6 attack, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So that makes it really nice. And we see the same abilities on the next fighter, which is the regular Savage Orruk Arrow Boy. So I'd say I wouldn't include the Savage Orruk Arrow Boss, but I'd certainly include some Orruk Arrow Boys just for that ability. I think it's really good. But they're coming in at 90 points. They've got the same weapon range, 3 to 15. 2 attacks though, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And then they've got the second one up close. It's range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 2 on a crit. They got a movement 4, toughness 3, and can take 15 wounds. But it's that triple loads of arrows that are going to make these guys worth it. And you really are looking for a 555 or 666 so that you can add 3. And then they'd be making 5 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit from a nice healthy maximum 15 range. So I think I'd definitely put 2 of these in my warband. I like any kind of archers, so these would definitely fit in. And now we're moving on to the next ones, which could be some of the best models of this whole set. Again, it's still from the same set of Savage Orruks. So what great value we're going to get from that £32.50 set. Again, that's the RRP. Go to Element Games, you could save up to 20% on that price. And so with these guys, the Savage Big Stabbers, 175 points, you're getting a movement 4, toughness 3, but they can take 30 wounds. They've got a range of 1, making 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. And I'd definitely include this in my warband, mainly because it looks awesome. It's brilliant. It's so good. Almost like a battering ram with a spike on the end. But the stats are pretty good too. And I think for 175 points, it's well worth including. Maybe even 2 of them for a fun warband. That'd be quite cool. And I always thought about building some kind of battle, setting up some kind of like mini battle where they have to break down the gates of some kind of fort or stronghold, and so we put 2 of these in the warband and then attack the fort. I thought that'd be quite fun, so I might do that one day. We'll wait and see. And if that isn't awesome enough, as well as those 9 different fighters that we can put together, there's another option of a sculpt that we can use from that same set for this Skull Thumper guy. I just thought we could just use him as a Savage Orruk Moorboy. Again, it gives you like a unique fighter, so he's going to stand out amongst your warband. You could build a little story around him, especially for narrative campaign play. I think this guy would be great. So I've built him from my set, and they're going to include him in the warband because he just looks so cool. And remember this Savage Big Boss that we saw earlier, this £10 model? I think you could so easily make one of the models from that set into a Savage Big Boss. For mine, I've just put him on like a raised base so he stands out a bit more, and I might put some kind of tattoos on him that make him stand out. So I don't think you need to spend £10 unless you really like the look of this model. So that's the end of those Savage Orruks bot set. And for $32.50, you're going to get 9 different fighter cards or fighter types that we've seen here. Potentially a Savage Big Boss, and you could even get a different looking Moorboy as well to add in. So a great set altogether. And I think you've got to get one of these. They're so good. You could build like a warband just from this one set alone and have a ton of options. Okay, this is very exciting, but now we've got another similar box set of Boar Boys, and you can build these as either Savage Boar Boys or the Maniacs, and so you've got some different options again with this one box set you can chop and change, so you can make a few of each. And this set's going to come in, again, £32.50. This time you're going to get 10 altogether. I don't know whether you could maybe make a Maniac weird knob out of it, out of what you get in there as a proxy, but you've certainly got the option to make a good amount, 6 different fighters. And the first one is a Savage Boarboy Boss, and at 250 points, he's got movement 10, toughness 4, can take 35 wounds, a huge amount. He's got that leader rune mark and the mounted rune mark. His weapon is a range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. I think for this, yeah, you're getting lots of damage points, but he does seem quite high at 250, but you really are paying for that movement and that mounted ability. But if you want to take one of these as a fighter, you could choose to have a Savage Boarboy Bone Totem Bearer, and at 205 points, we've still got that movement 10, toughness 4, and still can take a huge 25 wounds. This isn't a leader, but he's got that Mystic rune mark, and we've seen the ability for this, the Beast Spirit Juju earlier on, so a good ability. But this one's got a range of 3, can make 3 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So really interesting, for 205 points, you get that really nice double ability, the Beast Spirit Juju, and you get a 3 attack strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So you are going to do some damage there. And with 25 wounds, he'll also be able to take a fair bit of punishment too. So this could be an option if you want a mounted player. I'd say take a close look at this Totem Bearer and that ability for sure. And we've got another fighter option here called the Savage Boar Boy with Savage Sticker. And he's at 145 points. Still getting that movement 10 though. And still that toughness 4. And wow, 25 wounds as well. He's got no abilities apart from the 2 regular fighter abilities that we covered earlier on. And he's mounted. He can make 2 attacks with a range of 2. And he's a strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So he's certainly not going to do a lot of damage. But being able to take 25 wounds and move 10 is pretty handy. So that's not too bad at all. We've also got the option to build a Savage Boss Maniac. And at 265 points, he's got a movement 10, toughness 4, can take 35 wounds. He's got the regular leader triple war ability with that rune mark. And he's mounted. His weapon is a range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So this one, again, I think is pretty high. 265 points. Yeah, you're just paying for those damage points and that movement, it seems. So for a leader, I wouldn't be going down this route personally. But we can also make a Savage Boar Boy Maniac at 170 points with a movement 10, toughness 3 now, so it's gone down a little bit, but he can take 25 wounds. He can make 3 attacks with a range of 1, and it's a strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And we've already seen the double Tooth Shiv ability, so we know he can make use of that too. So for me, I haven't picked up the Boar Boys yet. I really like them though and want to get them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out for the preview this Saturday. Because I'm hoping, we've been discussing it on the Patreon, and we're all really hoping for some Bone Splitters. We think it'd be really great. So maybe we'll see some of those in perhaps a new edition of Age of Sigmar. We'll wait and see. But I think if we don't get any news there, then I might well pick up a box of Boar Boys. Just because they look so great, and then just include one of the lowest point ones in my warband. But it's a great option, and to have this mounted option is really fun. And you could certainly even try a little warband out of these mounted ones. They wouldn't be able to go through doors and things like that, but I still think they'd be really fun to play. These guys look crazy. They almost look too big for the boars, so it's going to be really funny to have them charging across the battlefield for sure. So that covers the fighter cards and all the abilities included in the book. But now let's look at how we can use some different models from other games and in our Bone Splitters warband. And Head Drakker's Mad Mob stands out as 4 amazing models that I would love to build a warband around. And the first one we're going to see is a great substitute for the Wurgog Prophet, and he's going to get all the same stats we could use, and he looks perfect for this. He looks really similar, but he's got this like big snake, and that looks really fun. The set's not out yet as I make this video, but when it does come out, it's only going to be like just over £20 with the discounted element games. The RRP is 25, but you get 4 really unique miniatures, and I think this one as the Wurgog Prophet is my favourite. I almost wish I didn't get the Wurgog Prophet, but I might use this guy as maybe a War Doc instead, so you got that option too. But man, this is a great set that I can't wait to come out. And you also get this big guy in the set, and he's perfect as either a Savage Big Boss, or maybe you could use him as a Savage Orruk Boss as a hero. So have like the Wurgog Prophet as the leader, and then have this guy as a hero. That's really good. He's also going to get this quad Mighty War if you choose him as the big boss, but maybe the points are too high. I'm not sure. But anyway, he's going to definitely feature in my warband. It looks amazing, and having this uniqueness for the kind of narrative play is perfect. We also got this one. What a great Savage Orruk looking Moor Boy. He's going to fit perfectly in that with this club. And I just think they're brilliant. I think these are possibly one of my favourite Underworld sets. And I can't wait for the release to come. So looking forward to doing that. But we've also got another one included. And this is a great miniature that we can use as a Savage Arrow Boy. And again, unique pose, looking awesome. That like crow skull on his belt is perfect, and this guy's really great. So you could use him as the Savage Arrow Boss as well if you wanted to. If you wanted to go up that extra 35 points to get that extra attack characteristic in there, but it's an option. So there we go. That's the Underworld set, and I think these would be now I'm throwing in a total wild card, and I saw this in one of the previews recently for Warhammer 40k. So well I thought, man, I'd love to have a bone splitters riding a big squig like this. I think it would be amazing, and I don't know how easy it would be to convert this and make it look like it belonged in Age of Sigmar and certainly in Warcry, but I would love to try it out. And so, I mean, this just looks awesome, and maybe we could use it as a maniac weird knob, perhaps, with that ranged weapon. We could dress his kind of head up in some kind of headdress like the weird knob. I don't know, but I just think this model is fantastic, and even if I don't get it for like Warcry, I'd just love to have it and paint it up. But there's a wild card, and what do you think though? Would you use that? Do you think it would be easy to convert? I'd love to hear what you think. We've gone through all the fighters now and different models we could proxy, so I thought it'd be cool to put together a little idea of what I would use in my warband. So for my leader, I would go with a Wargog Prophet, 100%. He's definitely going to be the leader, and whether we choose the image I've got here, which is from the Underworld set, or you pick up the original Wargog Prophet, it doesn't matter. They're both going to be awesome. Then we've got this great guy on the right who looks like he's going to be a perfect big boss, a savage big boss, but I may be inclined just to use him even as a savage Orruk Moorboy, maybe, to bring those points down. Then a savage big stabber has got to fit in there somewhere as well as some Orruk Arrow Boys, the Totem Bearer, and then we can have a little mix then of just regular savage Orruk with savage sticker and bone shield, and Chomper and bone shield. So it's going to be really easy to put 1,000 points together and get it up to 1,400 ready for our narrative campaigns. But man, I love this whole Bone Splitter warband, and I think all the miniatures are great, and you only need to pick up a few sets to be able to have access to every single fighter available. So there we go. That's the options I've gone for, but I'd love to hear what you would do. So let me know in the comment section below what's your favourite leader, who's your favourite fighter, and any tactics you'd like to share that you think are good for the Bone Splitters. And I'll put links in the description as well to Element Games where you can pick up some of the miniatures and box sets we've gone through here, and there'll be affiliate links, but they won't cost you extra. In fact, you save up to 20% there on all your game products, and for any sale made through an affiliate link, I get a small commission, and that helps me develop the channel and do loads more videos like this. So thanks so much for that support. It's really brilliant. I really appreciate it. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'll be great to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. I really love these Bone Splitters. I think they're such a great warband to play, and I didn't think I'd like them as much as I did when I bought the sets, but as soon as I built them, I knew they were going to play heavily on the channel. So look out for these coming, being painted and coming in some battle reports really soon. I can't wait to get them on the table. But thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.